Hi, my name is Frank Schaefer, and in trying to figure out the difference between what I was raised on in an evangelical missionary home and where the evangelical movement has now gone in becoming an appendage to the Donald Trump cult, I guess I would frame it as a question, and that is, did you ever think that you would live to see the day that the teachings of Jesus are now perceived by most people in America who are not white evangelicals as a narcissistic, malevolent cult of incompetence? You know, in Donald Trump admitting that he knew the potential damage that coronavirus was going to do and yet did nothing because he didn't want to upset his political chances, called it a hoax and all the rest of it. You would think by this point many white evangelicals and conservative Roman Catholics would have already bailed. In fact, they haven't. Today, a report was launched, published by Politico, showing that a very detailed study that was actually commissioned by a group called Vote Common Good that I helped start a couple of years ago to tour the country and talk to evangelicals and other Christians about their support for Donald Trump and try to talk them into dropping that support as we campaigned for local candidates across the country for Congress. And we're on a bus tour. Well, that report now shows that there's been some real progress. 11% of white evangelicals and conservative Roman Catholics have now said they will no longer vote for Donald Trump. 11% of the 100% of the 82 to 83% of Americans who identified themselves as evangelicals who voted for Trump in 2016 no longer say they will. But that brings up a question. Why are any evangelicals or conservative Roman Catholics still voting for Donald Trump? You would think that the number would be 90% have dropped out now, and not on the basis of what he has done with any individual policy, but on the basis of something completely different. And that is his essential character quality, which is a lack of kindness. If anything comes through from the teaching of Jesus, and from the faith that I was brought up on by my evangelical leader parents, Francis and Edith Schaefer, in the mission called L'Abri Fellowship, it was kindness. Donald Trump has never been portrayed as a kind person or even one with basic civility by anyone. The question for evangelicals is not, what do you think of Trump's track record in all these other areas, but a very simple one. Does your idea of God feed your ego or feed your heart? Has your own self-centeredness grown into a self-righteousness in the name of God? These are questions that Christians who are supposed to examine themselves, examine ourselves about our characters, need to ask. I'm going to repeat it. Does your idea of God feed your ego or feed your heart? The best recurring theme that we need to address with the evangelical voter on issues like abortion and all these other things is not Trump's track record legislatively only, or the fact that he's a multiple serial adulterer, a groper, a molester of women, someone accused by numerous credible sources of rape, but something much more basic to the teaching of Jesus, and that is malevolent narcissism combined with incompetence coming from someone who serves only themselves, something that an evangelical Christian is attracted to. Put it this way, has the evangelical faith itself changed to the place where we now assume that evangelical Christians themselves are so consumed by an egocentric desire to win politically that, like Donald Trump, they will sacrifice everything to this Pyrrhic dream, which is turning into a nightmare? Is self-centeredness measured by grace and kindness? Is self-centeredness a fruit of the Holy Spirit? It isn't just that Trump is unworthy to be followed. It's that people who have followed him to this point, all but that 11% of those 82% of evangelicals who voted for Trump, all but that 11% that the new study says have come to their senses, are still following a gospel, not of Jesus Christ, but one of self-centeredness, which has actually destroyed the credibility of the United States. Trump is more popular with the Saudi prince who murders journalists, with Vladimir Putin who has his rivals poisoned, with a dictator of North Korea, with a Chinese strongman, than he is with our democratic allies in what used to be, in evangelical parlance, the Christian or the Judeo-Christian West, the way my dad would have put it in his words. We've come to the point now where Trump's ego has so infected the evangelical community and conservative Roman Catholic community with its blight, with its virus, that the word narcissism is something that they now try to justify in Trump and laugh off his revenge crusades on other people. Try to lie about the fact that he says that he wanted to suppress information on COVID-19 and spin this, that it was just he didn't want to prevent a panic. That's a little odd to try to spin that for Donald Trump when he has tried to panic us into a race war, where he has had to panic us into thinking that if the Democrats are elected, America will be destroyed, or that Mexicans are rapists and are coming across our border, to the point where we should separate parents from babies and lock them in cages. His whole presidency has been about panic and sowing division and hatred and finding that Nazis are very fine people. So to single out his suppression of information on COVID-19 and his downplaying and lying about it again and again and again, as if somehow he was just trying to still the waters, as Franklin Roosevelt might have done, is just patently ridiculous. This is the man who has a square cleared of peaceful protesters with tear gas and rubber bullets so he can march out and wave a Bible around and sow division and create panic. Narcissistic malevolent incompetence is who Trump is. Narcissistic malevolent incompetence is not what Jesus preached. Narcissistic malevolent incompetence is now what comes to mind when we hear the word Christian. So that only 11%, if this study is correct that Politico did, initiated by the group Vote Common Good that I helped start, if that figure is correct, and I believe it probably is, and I hope to God it is, because then he'll lose in the next election, shame on the remaining evangelicals, the vast majority that are still voting for Trump. 11% of you are proving, at least if this study is correct, that you still have a mind open to the teachings of Jesus rather than the narcissistic, malevolent rants of Donald Trump. Thank you. My name is Frank Schaefer.